And then there's homeschooler type 3. Not parent-led, not child-led, very much child-controlled. I don't want to put a thumb on the unschooling movement, but often it is in this realm. And what happens is those unsavory parts of education that nobody wants to deal with end up getting left by the wayside. Typically, maths and sciences. The children may be extremely well read. The children may be into the arts. The children may be writers. But usually, the child is going to pick one academic area and set themselves in it. But what happens is when the child reaches about age 13 and it's time to start approaching high school level work, there is a great deal of fear and anxiety because the child has not been forced or encouraged to do those things when they were younger. And familiarity lowers anxiety.
Yesterday, one of my most favorite homeschool YouTubers made or published a video, streamed a video called Exposing the Homeschooling Community's Biggest Lie. And her name is Akiba Mays. And she literally says we act like homeschool socialization isn't a big deal. It's just going to happen naturally. Everything's going to be magical and beautiful. And she says that it's a lie. And she went on to describe how it's a lie, and she's kind of right. She's kind of right. You might want to go ahead and watch her video and then come back to this one, or watch this video and then go see hers, whatever makes you happy. The first time I considered homeschooling was in 1999. So that's 25 years ago, right? I lived in New Orleans, and the state of the schools there was not up to my standards. So I was considering homeschooling. And my husband and I used to take the kids to a park in downtown New Orleans during the day, and we noticed that there were homeschoolers around. And my husband had been talking to me about homeschooling since the kids were born. I just was never really feeling it. So I noticed there were homeschoolers there, and they seemed polite, but a little standoffish, but it definitely piqued my curiosity. And when I called a homeschool group to get to know some homeschoolers better, I received a verbal invitation by phone to join. These were the days where your phone was still tied to the wall. And, I had a lovely conversation with a woman, a good hour. And when it came down to setting a play date to meet other homeschoolers and talk to them, because that's really should be the first step always, the woman described herself, and I don't remember the description. I understand this was 1999. But the description was basically, I'm a white woman, and this is what I look like. And of course, no one says I'm a white woman, they describe themselves, right? So I described myself. And something about the part where I said I had braids was a dead giveaway. She suddenly had to get off the phone.
You're not going to make a ton of money doing this. This is a service. I think you have a better chance of making money if you just have 1 to 3 kids you work with, and it's more one-on-one. This is actually really good. It got me through my children's middle school years, kind of toward the beginning of our homeschool journey. Back then, eBay was a very fruitful marketplace that you could work on. Not so much now. But I would drop my kids off at their homeschool program once a week, and then I would go to the mall because I lived near an outlet mall. So it's always great if you have access to an outlet mall where you'll see lots of sales. And I think I mostly did Ross stores, Burlington Coat Factory. And those were the days when those stores really did sell name brands for less. Now they sell name brand dupes for less. But I made so much money specifically zeroed in on plus size clothing. If you're going to resell things online, make sure you are selling things that you have knowledge in. Lean into your expertise. As a plus size person, I just started selling my clothes. They were selling so well that I started getting more clothes and selling them. to selling things online. I did a video fairly recently about homeschool picking, and I profiled a lady who was a homeschool picker, and she goes around yard sales, secondhand stores, and buys things that she feels are valuable. I did this also as a hobby. My friend and I just started doing this as a hobby, and it started out really well. We started making a lot of money, but it just ebbed and flowed. Be careful of the malls, like those mall stores where everyone has a resale booth. And it's managed by someone other than the people with the booths. Um, the people making money in those cases are the people that own and manage the store. Problems I ran into while doing this was I started off with the big pieces, started having back problems. My doctor told me no big pieces. So I found a little small niche that I was really good at, and it was custom pillows with fun sayings. They were selling really well. And honestly, if you're going to do that, you should probably be in charge of the store. So, um, these same things could be sold online through probably Etsy or a similar place like that. I have never worked with Etsy. I have worked with Poshmark. Is it Poshmark? Oh, I've worked with Poshmark. I buy more from them than I sell. I just honestly haven't seen the value in doing that big time, but I do love it. I do love the idea of knowing a market, knowing certain niche products, being able to see when they're really valuable, buying those and reselling them. That's the way to do it. Don't follow someone else's plan. Follow your own plan, follow your niche, follow your knowledge. Tutoring other children. Well, like becoming a co op instructor or caregiver. I noticed that you guys respond pretty well to some of the Reddit homeschool things. So I came across some Reddit homeschooling things that were interesting. So why don't we enjoy them together? Brief intro about me. I work in the juvenile section of a public library in the South. I was raised Christian, but around the age 10 to 11, I started out that BS, went to public school and college. In the library, I see a lot of homeschool kids and parents. Setting aside the issue that half of these homeschool kids can't write, do math properly, or socially interact with other humans, there's the bigger issue. Parentheses, I know some of you came out fine, and I have a friend that was homeschooled by her weird pagan mom. That's fine as well. I'm speaking generally in parentheses. They're being homeschooled to make sure they remain a religious nutter. Moms, check out history books from the 1970s with dubious information, all with a Christian overlay. They aren't allowed to read anything that isn't clean. Take into account these kids will be 12 or 13 years old. No Harry Potter, Star Wars, or comic books, as they are the devil. They're all devil. Manga, question mark, super devil. TV, question mark, no. They aren't allowed to watch TV. Also, the devil. So these kids are making it to 18 years old reading false history books while having Jesus beat over their heads. Then they ship them off to a private Jesus college to maintain the lies. Poor little poops are being brainwashed. I was really hoping that education was going to be the eventual death of the curse known as religion on mankind, but I guess I was dreaming. We have a problem. I promise you, when I say that I teach the best students in the county and still lose sleep, how do I quantify that I have the best students in the county? I teach homeschool students. Okay. I teach students whose parents are pretty dialed in. I teach children who don't necessarily have a chip on their shoulders. I teach children who want to learn, and I'm concerned. Why am I concerned? I think I'm concerned because they are so distracted. They walk around with the amount of computer power in their pocket that we didn't have back in high school, and even my own children. I was in high school in the 80s. My own children were in high school or homeschool high school in the mid 2000s, 2009 to 2013. And the amount of technology my kids had can't even hold a candle to what is available to these kids now. There's just always something else to do with their brains. There's just always something more mentally stimulating. The trends and the jokes change. They're just rapid fire so fast that I can't even keep up with what the phrase of the week is. These kids are inundated by media, and honestly, they're enjoying themselves. And so, can someone teaching math and science and history and language arts compete with that? Somewhat. But, oh, it's a hard sell. If you are homeschooling your kids for any reason other than making sure they grow up whole, intact, joyous, and educated, then why are you doing it? For anyone who wants to homeschool for some kind of control over their kids, I encourage you to go to Reddit once a week and read a homeschool recovery story, because they are rough. And we're just going to go ahead and read the whole thing, and then we're going to comment on it. My parents started homeschooling me before I was old enough to even think, because my older brother was autistic and had bad experiences in school due to it. It was preschool or kindergarten, so I assume it was the late 2000s. As a small child, I enjoyed it. Going on vacation in fall, short school days, school games, being a kid. That was enough for me. And back then, my mom was better at keeping us on schedule. When I got older, around 11, I asked to be put in regular school or boarding. I just didn't want to be homeschooled. The answer to that should have been yes. We don't homeschool because of money, and when I was 11, we moved states. However, my mom didn't want to put me in schools for whatever reason. I kept asking, and when she was finally considering it, the pandemic happened. With the pandemic, she got worse about keeping school consistent. I resented her, but I understood it wasn't her fault. A global pandemic happened. Now I'm 16 in a day, and I have an elementary school education. I can't do math, I can't spell big words, and I have social skills and somewhat crippling social anxiety because I've never been able to socialize growing up. I did ballet, but we were encouraged to not talk in class. I can't even complain much because I have good parents. They just made stupid decisions with schooling. Every single day, I wish they did something different. But since they didn't, I have been cursed to a life of homelessness or marrying rich. Hello. We have a problem here in Georgia, Gwinnett County, to be specific. If I go back a year, Gwinnett County Public Schools gave homeschoolers a hard time when it came time to take the PSAT. The PSAT is not required, but the PSAT qualifies children for a National Merit Scholarship. National Merit Scholarships aren't universal. There's a set number of places that you would get a scholarship if you maxed out that PSAT. So just for some context on the PSAT, this is on a Reddit page. The PSAT doesn't help you get into college. You're very unlikely to get a scholarship out of it either. Your scores have to be very high to qualify, and your eventual college has to participate in the program, which many top schools don't. I'm not really that worried about the PSAT, although my students love taking it. I'm worried that because it's digital, that there's gonna be repercussions to also taking the SAT since it is also digital. Nevertheless, all the college prep homeschoolers take the PSAT at least starting in the 10th grade, if not starting in the 9th grade, in order to qualify for that national merit and or to get in some early practice for the SAT, because familiarity lowers anxiety. And so this is the conversation that's happening here. Let's see. Due to the end of elementary and secondary school emergency relief funding, so I think this is some post-COVID funding, Gwinnett will not be able to offer an administration of the PSAT to homeschool students this fall. We used those funds to pay for the facilities, use fees, and staff salaries for the testing.
but no longer have those. GCPS, Gwinnett County Public Schools, will only be able to offer the PSAT to students enrolled in our school district. So this school year is not going as I've planned, and things are definitely turning around. Before you can grow, you do need to get your processes together. And so this is what is happening, and I'm seeing tremendous growth in the future. But let's go back to this week. I've been so deep in my own crap that I did not see the turn that the country was taking. I didn't see it. I didn't believe it. And that's kind of dumb. That's kind of on me, because I didn't see it last time and it happened last time. So why wouldn't it happen this time? So here we are with a new president-elect. Why does this country like drama? Why do we like drama? Why can't we just sit in a corner and chill? Why can't we mind our business? Why can't we be still? That's all I need to know. But this affects homeschooling. This potentially affects education, because rumor has it, and I wouldn't say rumors because this is a words out of the horse's mouth situation, that the federal education department is going to be dismantled. Are you a former homeschooling parent? And is homeschooling your personality? Because that is a struggle I have been dealing with, I think, for 20 years. When you do something so not mainstream, it can become your personality, and that can be good in some ways, and in some ways it can be super limiting. I remember toward the end of my active homeschool journey, every time I got invited to my sister-in-law's house, she would be there with all of her friends, and her friends were fabulous women, and a lot of them were teachers. And it took me a while to realize it, but after a couple of years, I realized that I was literally the entertainment. I would get asked questions about homeschooling, and then it would start out innocent, and then by the time it was time to go, an hour or two later, I was exhausted because I was put in a position to educate, inform, and defend homeschooling. And so the last time that happened, I just never went back. I'm off to prioritize my health. Heading off to a mammogram. I've actually had several physicals this year. One because my doctor's office closed and I had to get a new doctor. But I've been working really hard for 5.5 years on this project, and to the point that I've made no room for my personal health. In the beginning, I kept my chiropractic appointments because I worked around it, but as the days of my business expanded, my opportunities to go to the doctor got smaller. Dentists don't work on Friday at all, so it's been a couple of years since I've been to the dentist. But when you stick your head up to breathe and you realize that you've put your business above you staying alive to run your business, that's a weird decision for me to make, right? I think it all came to head when the stress really started getting to me. And I thought I was having a heart attack. And I went to the hospital. I went to clinic. Well, actually, I knew I was having a panic attack. Everyone around me thought I was having a heart attack. I went to the clinic to ensure that it was just a panic attack, and the tests they were running were inconclusive, and I ended up spending a day at the hospital. So now, before my health insurance changes, I need to ensure that I'm absolutely healthy. And so that's why I'm going to go get a mammogram. Are you prioritizing your health? What are you putting above your health? It's just a shame to me that I put so many things in front of being here. What's the point of having the things? What's the point of running something? What's the point of having prestige when your physical form may not survive it, may not survive the stress, may not survive the journey because you're putting everything in front of your health? I don't know. I think it's crazy considering my family history. I turned 56 this year. My mother passed away before her 56th birthday.